today, which is that if these allegations were known against me for so long, why wasn't I arrested or why wasn't any action taken? But today, interestingly, what he's also saying is that all the other opposition parties seem to be coming together just to attack the Aam Aadmi Party because they feel the threat of AAP in Punjab is real.
Well, that is a stand that the Aam Aadmi Party has taken consistently. And remember, today is the last day of campaigning in Punjab. And today is the last chance, in a way, of all political leaders to reach out to the people in forms of a campaign. Even today, Arvind Kejriwal has two road shows, one in Jalalabad and the other one in Abohar. And because these allegations have been made by Kumar Vishwas, even though it may not be taken so seriously by some people, but because of his association with Arvind Kejriwal, the apprehension within the Aam Aadmi Party is that it may have a resonance somewhere, which is why first it was Raghav Chaddha who had responded, and now it is Arvind Kejriwal himself directly responding to these allegations, which in fact is not a usual thing that he has done. If anybody has leveled an allegation against him, it is usually the people of the party who have defended him. It is not he himself who is defending himself. But today he is defending, he is in front of the press, essentially trying to defend himself and make his position clear by saying that, oh, if I was such a big terrorist, how is it that nobody knew, and how is it that I was allowed to remain as the Chief Minister of Delhi? Why was it this fear or this why did you not act on this information if you had any? Remember, he has said another very important thing in that press conference. He really said that he has some information that there could be some action against him through the NIA.
I apologize for interrupting. We'll just come back to this conversation from the BJP. Shehzad Poonawala now joining us on the broadcast. Shehzad, how do you respond to the comments that have come in from Arvind Kejriwal? One, he's gone on to reiterate this twice now, that if people knew about my activities, why wasn't any action taken? Two, very importantly, he's gone on to say that today the BJP, the Congress and the Akalis are all working together. They're all speaking in the same tune just to attack the Aam Aadmi Party.
First of all, Mr. Kejriwal, perhaps after Pakistan, is the first person to come up with a new kind of terror. Good terror, bad terror, and sweet terror. So this is a new conception that Mr. Kejriwal, just like Pakistan and others must have come up with, has come up with. But having said that, time and again, why isn't he not answering about the question that even Ms. Gul Panag, and I will quote what Ms. Gul Panag has said, had warned Aam Aadmi Party about flirting with Khalistanis. Why is Mr. Kejriwal not answering this question directly? It is on record from last 5 years that Mr. Kejriwal spent the night at the house of a Khalistani supporter, the former chief of KLF. Why did Mr. Kejriwal not take action if this is a false news? Why did Mr. Kejriwal say nothing about the fact that one of the banned Khalistani group persons had campaigned for Mr. Rodi, his MLA from Punjab? So why were these charges that were floating around from the last 5 years, not 10 years, why were they never answered by Mr. Kejriwal? Point number one, why did Mr. Kejriwal never come out and speak about Mr. Kumar Vishwas or Gul Panag from the last 2 years when they've been speaking about this? And thirdly, Mr. Kumar Vishwas is a poet of the Hindi language. He's a Hindi Kavi. To time and again use Hindi language and to call it Hasya Kavi and to reduce it into a joke is also an insult to the Hindi-speaking
Shehzad, what Kejriwal seems to be suggesting that there is a political conspiracy against him. He's made another very big allegation. He is saying he got a call from an officer who he refused to name saying that very soon there will be an NIA inquiry also against me. How do you respond to those allegations?
You see, Mr. Kejriwal, just like Rahul Gandhi, gets prior information from all these officers who call him, and we have all known that how Mr. Kejriwal keeps raising these false victim cards and bogies. He has spoken about an ED raid that was going to take place. That never took place. So, this is only chor ki daadi mein tinka. If you have nothing to hide, you should have taken action against these statements of Gul Panag, against these reports about you spending time at the house of Khalistanis long back. The fact that you didn't, but only culpable, and the price for this or the penalty for this is decided by the People's Court. It's not decided in a court of law. You are flirting with separatists or flirting with the idea of Khalistan. That is something that people of the Punjab, people of India will give you a punishment for. But having said that, one more point that I would like to make is that Mr. Kumar Vishwas, you may like him or not like him, he is a respected poet of the Hindi language. The manner in which Mr. Kejriwal has insulted the Hindi language and also Hindi-speaking people by reducing a poet of great repute in the current times to a Hasya Kavi. That shows his mindset. This is the mindset of Mr. Kejriwal. Why doesn't Mr. Kejriwal...
Shehzad, there's another comment that I want a reaction on. You know, Arvind Kejriwal also said, and he's drawn a parallel. He's saying it was Rahul Gandhi who first pointed fingers at me, and then the same narrative was repeated by the Prime Minister. It's the first time that we are seeing the Prime Minister follow Rahul Gandhi, and this should show you the political conspiracy of all these parties against me.
Well, you know, this is the same Mr. Kejriwal who said, मैं बच्चों की सौगंध खाता हूँ, राजनीति में नहीं आऊंगा. Then did a U-turn and came into राजनीति. And then he said, मैं बच्चों की सौगंध खाता हूँ, मैं कांग्रेस के साथ कभी हाथ नहीं मिलाऊंगा. And his first government, his first stint as chief minister was with the same Rahul Gandhi. So perhaps he should ask Rahul Gandhi, and Kejriwal should have a conversation with Rahul Gandhi about that. But having said that, whatever is been said by Gul Panag, why is Mr. Kejriwal not saying whether he is accepting what Gul Panag is saying, or does he plan to take any action against Gul Panag? The fact that he has not taken action from 2018 on this particular statement by Gul Panag and by others shows that there is something that he is hiding, and now he's playing a victim card, which is very common for Mr. Kejriwal. This has been his tactic all along. Whenever he gets exposed, he starts playing the victim card.
Shehzad, I'll request you to stay on with us. I want to take in a response from the Congress also. Charan Singh Sapra now joining us. Good to have you on the broadcast with us. How do you respond to what Arvind Kejriwal has said? He's made a sarcastic comment saying that it looks like all these political parties, which is the BJP, Congress and the Akalis, they come together at night for video conferencing. They decide a way forward on how they want to attack Kejriwal. That should show that there is a bigger political conspiracy at play.
See, I feel Arvind Kejriwal is trying to take some sympathy out of this. He should have actually replied to the allegations alleged by his earlier friend, Mr. Kumar Vishwas, and not only Kumar Vishwas, other members of, or the founder members of Aam Aadmi Party have also alleged similarly. Also, you know, there is a letter of the separatist group in US. That letter is doing the rounds in social media in Punjab. I'm still in Punjab over here. You know, whereby the separatist group or the Khalistani group has clearly said, appealed to the people that they should vote for Aam Aadmi Party. Arvind Kejriwal has to come clear on that also. Even though the some group members of separatist group are saying that we have not issued the letter, then who has issued this letter? Whether it is Aam Aadmi Party, who itself is, you know, fabricating things in Punjab, or whether it is the separatist group, they are releasing such letters in favor of Aam Aadmi Party. It's a complicated situation, but it is pointing towards Aam Aadmi Party that they are desperate to come in power and they are trying to lure the Khalistani groups.
Mrs. Sapra, I also want to take your reaction on another comment that was made by Charanjit Singh Channi as far as UP's bhaiyas are concerned, and because Kejriwal has responded to that saying that should show you the intent of the party and its leadership.
See, I feel Mr. Charanjit Singh Channi has clarified to the media yesterday itself, and he has said that whatever he said, it has been misconstrued. And actually, when he was talking, he pointed towards Mr. Dinesh Pathak of Aam Aadmi Party and Sanjay Singh, who come from UP and Bihar, and Arvind Kejriwal, who comes from Delhi. They have hired thousands of people from Delhi, Haryana, and they have bought into Punjab for the campaign of Aam Aadmi Party. So that's why he gave that reaction that people coming, or the hired people who are coming into Punjab from outside should be stopped, and Punjab should remain with the Punjabis. That's what he meant to say.
Okay, we'll leave the conversation there. Charan Singh Sapra and Shehzad Poonawala, thanks for giving us your time. I'd like to thank my colleague Rupashri also for getting us all these details.